Good evening, it's UK time. Tonight, I'm very happy to welcome Amanda Kay. She's an artist and also she's right now a healer and a coach. I think we'll talk about both facets. How are you, Amanda? Thank you very much for joining the live.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. Really happy, grateful, and excited to be here with you. So thanks for having me.
Welcome, welcome. First, I want to ask you before about your current coaching practice, about your start and interest into the arts. When did it start, and what did you do during your artistic performances?
So, well, it actually all started. I actually have quite a creative and artistic background. So my actual first original love is actually dance. I'm one of those kids that literally kind of popped out of the womb, as it were, dancing, jumping, prancing around. And lo and behold, I didn't think I was actually going to make a professional dance a career of mine. But I did. The Elvin Ailey American Dance Center was visiting from New York and South Africa, and they offered me a place in their school. So what happened was I ended up leaving South Africa at the tender age of, I think it was 19. And I flew all over to New York City, and I studied at the Elvin Ailey American Dance Center for about a year. And then actually what happened is that I used New York as my base, and I ended up traveling around the world, around the globe, internationally for about a decade. And I danced in Broadway, off-Broadway, TV, films, commercials. I did backup dancing. I danced for modern dance companies and ballet dance companies. So dance was essentially, my life, and I thought that that's kind of where it ended, but it didn't end there. I got a lead in a Broadway show, and I sort of culminated my career with professional dance there. And then I decided I wanted to become an actress. So I lived in New York for 10 years, and then I lived in Italy, Milan for 5 years, where I would work in between Milan and Rome, doing dancing for all of the variety television shows out there. And then I came to London, and I was in London for about 10 years, and I was doing acting and theatre and short films and also presenting. And then what it ended up happening is I ended up going back to school. I went to university and I studied social work, and I ended up qualifying with a first-class honors degree in social work, which is actually where I am now. And then from the social work, I started developing this well-being material, which is what I'm going to speak to you about today, and also my healing modalities as well. So that's basically it in a nutshell.
Yes, yes. Before we speak about your coaching, because I've seen you have your YouTube channel and Facebook, and you do teaching in both of them as well. But being in Milan and Rome, and I am from Egypt, we used to receive in the 90s, starting from the 90s, the Italian television on satellite, and I was astonished by the programs there, since you've been dancing, because they have this quality shows. I used to know the presenters by name, like Pippo Baudo, Giancarlo Magali. I remember until now. And they used to have as well, maybe you have performed there as well, morning shows on Sundays, and they have dances as well. And
Yes.
they used as well to have therapists come in to do a different type of healing massages. I mean, physical massaging, which is, of course, quite different than American television, But I mean, the heritage in Italian television, it's 24 hours. They do dancing all the time, and morning show, afternoon and night shows,
Yes.
And I think you've been familiar with that, being between Rome and Milano, right?
Yes. So you've actually got quite a good taste of it. That's exactly how it is. It's
Yes.
quite interesting because, you know, I think Italy, with its variety television shows, it's quite reminiscent of, you know, those like 70s TV shows with Sonny and Cher. It's like they've kept that moment in time with these reality TV shows, and
Yes,
they still have, you know, as you say, it's like all of these dancers and these singers, which is very reminiscent of the 70s. And
yes.
exactly what I was doing. I was dancing in all of these variety television shows. I was actually based in Milan, so I was you. I don't know if you're
You
familiar
go
with, but the
to
Cinecittà,
Rome,
yeah, is where all
Cinecittà, of course. Used to
yes,
go for the Rai, and I think as well the Canal 5 and Rete 4. I mean the Berlusconi Canal were based, I don't know, maybe in Milan as well.
that's
Yeah.
it.
Mm?
So you
Uh-huh.
know that.
Rete.
I don't know if you're
Mhm.
familiar with any of the famous Italian celebrities. So Adriana
Of
Celentano,
course.
you must know
Yeah,
him.
yeah. Maria Veneri in
Yes.
Dominica Inn. My mom
Yeah.
used to love her, by the way. Uh,
Oh, really?
and yeah, yeah, and because it's quite different than maybe French television. They used to have only on Saturdays a big spectacle like that, you know, and but dancing all the time, and most of the actresses as well and showgirls from Italy, because
Mm,
I've been seeing a lot of Italian cinema, of course. They
mm,
used to perform in these shows, even if they don't do cinema anymore, you know. And of course, in the 80s, there was the rise of Italian pop, some
mm.
singers who used to sing in English, like Sabrina, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
and they were very popular in Europe then, as well in Egypt, Middle East, etc.
yes.
And of course, what was as well the music festival they used to do, I think in Miami. You know, it was like a competition every day. They used to have new singers. It's like you know, the competition show in Europe, like Eurovision, but Italian way. You know.
Well, you must be
So yeah.
you must be familiar with the Amici television show.
Amici. Yes, Amici. Yeah.
Yes. So
Yes, yes, yes.
I dance for Vincenzo Salem. I don't know if you're familiar with
Yes,
him. Okay.
yes.
So,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
you
But
know,
very hard work, I imagine. Very hard work.
do you know what? It was a lot of hard work. I mean, I think the thing is with television shows, it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether
Yes.
you're an actress or a dancer. You know, TV life is long hours, right? It's long hours.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard work. You're filming 7 days a week. You're there from like
Mm-hmm.
9 a.m., 10 a.m. till like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. Sometimes it's very,
Mm-hmm.
very
Like, yeah, yeah,
long
yeah,
hours.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And did you go to do some rehearsal for the choreography as well
yeah,
before the live? Because they do everything live and record it as
correct,
well.
correct.
Mm.
It's
Uh-huh.
all absolutely live. So I mean, if you make mistakes, you know, on live TV, like that's it. You know, you
It's a
are gone
problem.
forever.
Uh, but
So
if everybody happy, you hear the director say, bellissima, bellissimo.
and, you know, the hand movements. You know, I
Yes,
miss the
bellissima, meraviglia, meraviglia.
exactly. You know the vibe. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so we had rehearsals beforehand for. I mean, if we were doing like a
Mm-hmm.
new show, we would
Yes.
start rehearsing maybe 3-4 weeks
Mm.
beforehand, and
Yes.
then we'd start filming. So yeah, the rehearsals itself were its own intensity in its own right.
Yes. Yes. You know, I want to ask you because I talked to some other dancer slash actresses like yourself from the States. And
Mm.
you know, during 70s, 80s, a lot of young actresses, and also some veteran actors. I mean, like Kirk Douglas, Mel Ferrer, Karl Malden. They used to go and do Italian films sometimes.
Oh,
Okay.
really?
Yeah, yeah. If you look at the 70s, especially what they call in Italy giallo, which are the thriller, the psychological thrillers, you know, like the ones I mentioned, and also some American actresses. They used to go and do performances as well and acting in Italian cinema. What I wanted to ask you, during that era, did you where you were offered some film roles in Italian cinema?
Do you know what? When I was dancing, I was dancing. I didn't, in my
Hmm.
mind, nothing else existed except the dance. You know, when you're a
Yes.
performance
Hmm.
dancer, you're waking up, you're eating,
Hmm.
you're breathing, you're sleeping, dance. All you think about is dance. There is nothing else in this
Yes.
world that is except the dance, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
right at that point, when I was a dancer, like I wasn't thinking about acting. I didn't even know I was wanting to do acting. There was
Yes.
no, it was almost kind of like dancing for me was like breathing. And if I didn't, this is all at that point in my life. And if I didn't dance, I felt like I was going to die.
Hmm.
And dance for me was the food of life. Dance for me gave me purpose. Dance for me was a gift. It was an absolute gift. And
Hmm.
I just, at that point, I couldn't breathe without it. And I couldn't imagine doing anything else with my life at that point. So
Hmm. Hmm.
to explain your question, when I was in Italy, I wasn't thinking about acting. You know, I was only thinking
Hmm.
about,
Hmm.
it was only until I came to London. It was only until that I
Hmm.
decided that, you know, I was going to retire and move to London and become an actress and a presenter, that I then started moving into that direction. But within the era of Italy, nothing else existed except dance.
Hmm. Hmm. Great. You know, speaking of dancing, I when I used to go to New York, I enjoyed very much watching the musical. I used to read and hear about, I went to Phantom of the Opera, and I was
Yeah.
lucky enough during I used to go during April, and it was Tribeca Festival, and I used to go to theater while attending the festival, and I attended Spider-Man, the musical. It was co-written by Bono from U2, and I loved it because, I love to go to theater Saturday morning. They used to have these morning shows on Saturdays and Sundays. I enjoyed very much more than the late night shows. So it was very interesting. And I used to go as well to some off Broadway and experimental presentation. I loved it as well, with newcomers and stuff like that. But here I want to ask you, when you were introduced to your current profession right now, I mean, healing, well-being, when did it happen and how did you venture into it?
So I was doing the acting and presenting, you know, for a good part of 10 years. And, you know, I was enjoying it. I was loving it. I was doing some great projects, but, you know, I needed to kind of get serious about like paying my bills, you know, as all of us have to do at some point. And so certain opportunities and conversations kind of, I had worked with interestingly enough, with a film director. I had done two independent feature films, interestingly enough, that actually went to Cannes and
Yes.
screened at Cannes. Not a big screening, small screening.
Yes.
And he had ended up calling me just for kind of a chin wag to be like, oh, how are the auditions going? And I said, look, it's not good. You know, everything's kind of died down. And he then said, and I said, look, I've got no work. You know, it's not a good time for me. And he was like, oh, well, you know, do you like children? Are you okay with working with young adolescents that are verbally abusive to you? And at that point, I was like desperate because I just needed work. I needed to make money. And I'm like, yeah, I love kids. Kids are great. Fantastic. Interestingly enough, that film director was a provider, as it were, for semi-independent residential care homes for looked after adolescents in care. And so what happened is he ended up giving me a job as a support worker in one of these children homes, right? And I started working with children within this kind of sort of residential environments, and I started getting experience. And then they said to me, oh, if you do a health and social care diploma, you know, it's paid for and everything. So I'm like, oh, well, I'm not doing anything. I might as well just do the health and social care diploma. Did the health and social care diploma. And then the one tutor was like, why are you playing small? You know, I talked to him about getting level 5, and he's like, oh, why are you going to get level 5? You do 2 years, just do another year, you can get a degree. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I could probably make better money doing like one up from a support worker, which is a social worker. So, you know, just because I don't have anything better to do, let me just do the social work degree. So I ended up doing the social work degree, and I ended up passing with first class honors. And then I started interviewing after I qualified, obviously for a better paying job because I was qualified now than a support worker. And I started going into the councils, and I started interviewing for jobs. And I didn't get a social work job. The first job that I got was as a personal advisor for a care leaving team for young people. And then I moved up to another team as a youth and family practitioner, which is kind of a similar form to an advanced form of a family support worker with lots of niche training. And what was interesting in this job, because it was non-statutory and it was a non-social work role, they gave us a room to be creative, right? And what ended up happening is that I, at the time, had been developing a well-being toolkit on myself. Because personally, I had gone through a change. I went through a change of being in recovery from drugs and alcohol. And what happens in the AA program is that you have to work on a personal program with yourself in order not to relapse again, or just to jump off a bridge, as it were. So I started developing this personal well-being program on myself to maintain and to self-regulate. And I started feeling really good. Then when I was in this team as a youth and family practitioner, I started seeing families and people that there was a need where I could share these well-being exercises with them. And what happened is I started sharing these well-being exercises with the families on my caseload, within my job, within the council, and they started getting incredible benefit. And then I thought, okay, well, if other people are getting benefit from this and I can see the light coming back in their eyes, I can see they're happier, I can see that they've shifted from when I first shared the exercise with them to after. I said, let me start to see now if I can reach a wider audience with this well-being material. And then what started to happen is I started to share the well-being exercises on social media, on the social media platforms, to reach a wider audience. And now I'm in front of you as part of that experience and that process to share the message.
Yes. I want to ask you about what kind of children or young people, I mean, what kind of problem you are right now dealing with, your speciality. I mean, I don't think they need exorcism or something. You know, I mean, what kind of problems you like to deal with young people? Do you have any kind of speciality?
So I would say young people are my niche. I mean, I think when I first originally started was actually in the residential care home, which was essentially adolescents. So we were looking at 16 to 18. So that is actually where I started to sort of, work with young people. And I think that my strong points within working with service users is through young people. So the experience there was in the care home 16 to 18. Then the personal advisor care leaving role was anywhere between 18 to 25. That was the first job that I got in the council. Now, as a family practitioner, a family support worker, I now work with children. It can be anywhere between 7-month-old babies to, young people that live within the family household up to like 25. And to answer your questions, the kind of problems across the board: domestic violence, mental health, self-harm, true wanting, education, not in any education, gang affiliation, child sex exploitation, domestic violence, family abuse, child abuse, you name it, it's all in there. You're pretty much in this role, you're pretty much dealing with everything. And that's what I love about this role, is because it is so diverse, because you're not just dealing with the child, the baby, but you're dealing with the parents and the grandparents and, you know, the middle-aged children and the adolescents. And that's what's been so beautiful. Is it's like the more families that I've worked with, I've started to now see what their need is, and I've started to see a pattern of what their needs are and the kind of things that they experience and the kind of problems that they go through. And so I've been able to create these well-being exercises that soothe, calm, align, comfort, boost confidence, give clarity of mind. This is all from a well-being perspective. And I share that with them. Obviously, it's not a copy and paste. I'm not just going to go into every family and be like, oh, here are the well-being exercises. No, it's got to be specific to their needs. Some families may not even need well-being exercises. They may need something that's a lot more practical. But in the context of the well-being exercises, this is where the team and the service where I am at now, this is where the well-being exercises were born.
Yes. I want to ask you, the problems you spoke about right now, according to you, are they more related to family or school or university, or the neighborhood, the ambient where the young man or the young woman are being raised in? What do you think? Or it's a amalgamation of all these elements together sometimes?
It's an amalgamation of all concepts together. I mean, one family is going to be completely different from another family. So one family that I work with may be experiencing the aftermath of domestic violence. Another family may be not being able to get their children to school on time, and they don't know how to parent in a positive way. And a lot of the time, a lot of our work is based around teaching positive parenting strategies on how to parent positively with children, because a lot of parents are clueless. You know, they can kind of get quite sort of heavy-handed with their kids and scream and shout, and we kind of go in and be like, look, there is another way to get more out of your child. This is how you can work with them in a positive way in order to get the best out of them. So a large chunk of the work is positive parenting. Some families may just need signposting, like they may be clueless with how to access benefits, for example. So a lot of it is accessing to the right amount of benefits that they can access, or sometimes you've just got to like walk to them to the doctor and speak on their behalf. Maybe sometimes they can't speak properly. So it's a wide range of needs. But, you know, essentially you're dealing with vulnerable families that have gone through a lot, and they're low income families. So when they come to our service, they need our support in any which way. Did I lose you there?
I can hear you.
Okay.
No. The thing is, what I want to ask you, and it's I think it's a question also for people hearing us, about what are the common misconceptions about well-being coaching and healing, according to you? I mean, did you have to, change some concept about people, about what you can do to them? Because, you know, there are a lot of misinformation from media and social media about any kind of practice. But I'm asking you about experience. You see a lot of people and families and young people have misconception about your practice right now.
Well, I think to answer your question, it's not so much misconceptions. And I was actually just speaking with a friend of mine recently who's also has developed his own business, as it were, but photography. And, you know, he had given me some great advice. And he was like, Amanda, right at the beginning in the nascent stages of you building the Self-Works brand, as it were, he said, really, it's just about developing trust. Right. So he's like, people don't know who you are. They don't know what your work's about. So it's not so much about the misconception. It's more about, and I'm talking specifically in terms of me and my practice and what Self-Works can offer as a brand. It's more now about Self-Works being able to develop their trust with their followers. It's more about Self-Works saying, okay, hey guys, you know, on the social media platform and also within this conversation with you now, to be like, look, this is who I am. The core concepts and philosophies around Self-Works is there's three cornerstones. It's very, very basic. It's hope, it's healing, and empowerment, right? And if I think the important thing is if people really resonate with that basic message of hope, healing, and empowerment, then I can only hope that I can invite people into that message, because once people buy into what that message is, and I think it's a very, very powerful message, then the followers will start to open up their ears to some of the amazing well-being exercises that I can offer on my platform. But so too can they also open up their hearts and their minds to the values, the principles, and the ethos in terms of how Self-Works imagines a person to live their life in the best way, and imagines a person to be able to step into the best version of themselves. And I think that if people can really resonate with that and buy into that idea, it's not going to be about misconceptions. It's going to be about trust. And knowing that Self-Works is going to guide them and lead them to be able to, for followers to step into the very best versions of themselves and to be able to live a life beyond their wildest dreams.
Great. Well, I want to ask you, you have your own website, amandalarak.com, your name. But if some people would like to reach out to you, they can contact you to your website if they need your consultancy. And as well, they be inside the UK, or do you do, I mean, some consultancy online through Zoom or something like that?
Yes, so I'm so glad that you asked this. So there is the amandalarak.com website, which is sort of more strictly around my presenting and acting. So if followers would like to contact me, or if they would like to have a session with me, then the best way is to DM me, to direct message me via my Facebook business page, Self-Works. So it's SELF-WORX. That's Self-Works at Facebook. For the Instagrammers who like to be on Instagram instead, username is SELF_works, WORX. And for any TikTokers out there, I know the youngsters love to be on TikTok. We're at Self-Works, SELFWORX. You can feel free to DM me there, or just email me, amanda@selfworks.life. At the moment, I am actually offering free 20-minute online sessions for people that would like to have a taster of what Self-Works is all about. And what I'm offering in these free 20-minute online sessions is I am offering one well-being exercise for the client based on their particular need. So a client would say, hey, you know, I heard about your 20-minute free online sessions, really interested to have a taster. Then they let me know know what they want to work on. It may be, okay, maybe I'm depressed, or I've got anxiety, or I need to gain confidence, or I need to get clarity within my mind, whatever it is. They give me one bullet point. Then I go away. I cherry pick a certain well-being exercise from the SelfWorks archive. And in that 20-minute session, I share a well-being exercise with the client based on their particular need.
Great. And I will post these below the interview, the links you mentioned, and so people can try to contact you when they watch the live. Finally, I want to ask you a personal question. What do you have some goals for the upcoming period for yourself?
Sorry, say that again.
Do you have some goals for yourself, preparing some goals, some projects you would like to achieve in the upcoming period?
So in the upcoming period, I mean, I think, you know, SelfWorks is very much in its nascent stages, as it were. I think I started rolling out the material in July, August. So it's a couple of months that SelfWorks has been live on social media, as it were. I think the goal for the next year really is to start developing and gaining a following, talking about gaining the trust of my followers. And also one idea is to actually start doing SelfWorks podcasts, just also to generate content. And in sort of use the podcast process of interviewing like-minded well-being practitioners such as myself, and using sort of the podcast element as a part of SelfWorks. And I think that's what's going to be the first part of the year. But I also want to kind of give a strong message out to international clients, because SelfWorks, although, you know, I'm based in the UK and London, and I can meet people in person for in-person sessions. Oh, I also offer Reiki healing as well. So that's kind of just a little half-hour sweetener extra thing if people like Reiki healing energy as a little add-on. But for the international clients, I also do, you know, online sessions where I'm able to work with the client for a full hour, sort of talking in the context of talking therapy, but also sharing particular and specific well-being exercises for the international clients within an online Zoom session, whether that be on WhatsApp or Skype or WhatsApp video call.
Great, Amanda. Finally, I want to thank you very much for this live interview. I wish you all the best through your work at SelfWorks, and I appreciate very much the help you give to young people around you, and also online, and to everybody. And I think a lot of people need that help, you know, especially I think everybody comes at a period in his life that he needs some additional support and voices, you know, to keep him or her, you know, continuing ahead in their lives.
That's a really beautiful message. I couldn't have said it better.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. I thank you very much again. I wish you all the best in your work, and feel free to come back to talk to us, or we can have some additional guests. We can have them with us, you know, to help people around the world.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for inviting me to your platform.
Thank you, Amanda. You're welcome, Amanda. Have a lovely evening in London.
You too. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.